rebuilding. A catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, welcome to the Silverback Blueprint Podcast, episode number 20. Today we're interviewing Steve Cody. Steve's sitting right across from me right now, so we're about 2 feet apart. I met Steve, how many months ago was it you did that talk? Was it 6 months ago?
Probably about 6 months, yeah.
At a Chamber of Commerce meeting, he was a guest speaker, and as soon as he started talking, obviously a lot of things started to resonate with me, being a business owner myself. But being around the same age and just hearing his story was quite cool, and just knowing that there was a lot of realness to it. And what I want to do today is we'll have Steve do most of the talking, but a little bit about himself. Now, Steve owns a few businesses, has owned a few businesses. In the Ottawa area, we have Cody Party.
Yep.
And there was a couple others. Talk us a little bit about yourself. We'll let you go with that before I screw everything up and make shit up.
So basically 49 years old, reaching that big 5-0, and been an entrepreneur all my life. Left high school, grade 10. Basically, my grandfather had saved up $1,200. It was $10 a month, mounted to $1,200 for me to go to university. Took that money, bought a kind of a squeegee, a bucket, and a ladder, and started a window cleaning business. And that's kind of how my life started.
And then, so when you say you left school, did you finish school, or you finished high school, or you got kicked out? Like, what was going on there?
Grade 10.
Grade 10?
Yeah,
okay.
Grade 10, dyslexic. So you have a hard time in school. And I think, I know that now. I didn't know it then,
Absolutely.
right? But So anyway, so I left in grade 10 and just went out on my own and had to make some money, more to live than anything else.
Yeah.
And so that's...
So back then, did you have that entrepreneurial spirit, do you think? Or was it more of I gotta get a hustle going because I got to put some money on the table because where you were?
If I think back, I remember looking through the yellow pages and kind of just even being fascinated, seeing the ads and saying, how do those ads get in the yellow pages? How does that happen? So I didn't have anybody in my life that could really teach me anything about business. So it was more, when you're a kid, you go out and you shovel driveways, you cut grass. It's like the hustle. Yeah. So it was really kind of, how can I make money? Cool. And so...
It's interesting you say, about the dyslexia. My daughter has it, and we learned at an early age that there was something going on with her learning. My son is super gifted, and then she was struggling with things. So we weren't sure sometimes if he was just that far ahead and she was normal, or whether there was something going on. She's super intelligent. But she just, the reading wasn't coming and the aversion to it and stuff. So we took her and had her tested, I think in elementary, not in elementary, but I mean in kindergarten, way before the school system would even start testing it, because we knew something was going on. And once we found out what it was, we were able to take steps right away. She's had a tutor from the get-go. But the schools are poorly equipped for that kind of thing
I think so. Yeah.
And I can imagine, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, even less equipped with it and stuff. So the hard part is you're frustrated because, at the end of the day, it's a struggle. Right, and just looking at what my daughter's gone through, you got emotional because you feel that you don't understand. You feel and if the support's not there, or the understanding, the acknowledgement, it's normal that who wants to spend every day getting punched in the fucking face all the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's a hell of a thing, but at the same token, I'm sure it made you become more resourceful in other ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think back, I can remember them wanting to put me in a special ed class. Then they tested me for my IQ, and they said that was very high, so they couldn't reconcile the two.
Didn't fit.
And so anyways, and my grandfather said, no, he's not going into a special ed class. He'll stay in the regular class. But they can put you in a box. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people paying a price for that. So
I totally agree with you. I think the one outset that I look at, that the positive that comes out of that, is the essence of the struggle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, the one thing I see in my daughter, who's a 14, she's learned an incredible work ethic.
Yeah.
She's learned that you got to fight tooth and nail for every % she gets in school. She does things systematically because that's how she's able to get things done. And I actually think she's going to be better equipped going forward.
And intuition. I'll bet your intuition will be...
She's the one who always, is interested in the business. She's the one who's interested in the money. We taught her to count with money.
Wow.
Because it meant something to her and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
My son's awesome, great kid and stuff like that, but he's just now starting to get some challenges, whereas everything came super easy. So now he has to learn how to fight through a challenge. And that's one of the things we talk about. I think the podcast that just dropped yesterday was Embrace Your Challenges.
Huge.
Right? And, I think that's some of the stuff we're going to get into, because it's the thing that forges us, the fire that, makes us better and tougher and that kind of thing. So lifetime entrepreneur.
Yep.
Right. Never held a real job, as people would say, and stuff like that. I got fired from a couple of jobs as well, and I learned that I suck as an employee. So I said, hey, let's be our own boss, and it's 10 times harder, but better suited, I think, for that kind of thing as well. So you started off with the window cleaning and stuff at a young age. What's business like? What's life like for you now at 49 compared to 39 and 29? Like, what's the biggest change that you see in yourself?
I think as you get older, you're maybe more sure of yourself, kind of more confident in what you do.
Okay.
I think maybe what you fear getting older hasn't happened, but you fear maybe where you're scared to take more, or you're more scared to take risk because
now.
I'm not, but I fear that could happen. Right.
You don't want that to become a limitation.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you're just scared to start a new business because I think being too smart can kind of, and this may sound odd, but when you're starting a company and you're an entrepreneur, if you overthink things, you won't do a lot, right?
You're frozen.
You freeze. So, I don't want too many life experiences or too many negative things to kind of play into wanting to do something. Because it's always been, okay, I want to start this business, and you just do it.
Yep.
So still doing that. But you wonder as you get older, will you lose that? And I wouldn't want to lose that, because to me that's
your edge. That's who you.
That's just a lot of fun.
It's part of who you are, right? Yeah. That's your makeup. Yeah. Really interesting. I always wonder, what 49-year-old Kurt would say to 29-year-old Kurt, right? And the biggest thing I would reinforce for me would be just be consistent. Focus on consistency and stuff like that, right? I think the hard part for me, and I think that's something that I'm appreciating as a positive, but also understanding as a negative, is that a million ideas come across my head or desk every day. Yeah. And the problem is, you're like, well, let's just fucking start it. Let's do it, right? Yep. And you get away with a lot of that shit when you're younger because you got all kinds of energy and you got that kind of stuff. But after a while, you kind of realize that, hey, listen, I know I could do this, but let's focus on what I'm doing right now. Let's do a better job in that. Or, now I start to look at it going, that's going to be a tremendous amount of heavy lifting at the beginning. Am I ready to do that right now at 49? Yeah. And part of me always is, let's fucking go. We're going to do it. Yep. But then it allows me to rationalize things a little bit more and saying, well, maybe not quite on this because I'm still in the middle of lifting this, that kind of thing. Does that make any sense? Is that something you get?
Yeah, I think you learn, focus maybe a little more. I personally don't believe in hyper focus on something, because we are entrepreneurs, so we have to figure things out, and you have to have kind of mobility in what you do. But for sure. So as I get older, I mean, like you see, you get all these ideas, all these people, if they're emailing or whatever, great ideas. Yeah. But you kind of want to focus on one or two things, because I think you become more successful if you dilute yourself.
You go too thin.
Yeah.
Right? You go too thin.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing too is that what's important is that once you realize about it, I think the coolest thing about becoming 40, and I've loved my 40s, and I want to do 10 more years at 40, is that you stop bullshitting yourself as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Hopefully that happens, right? So you sit there and say, you know what, and it's the old school where you take a piece of paper, line down the middle, and say, here's stuff I'm really good at. Yeah. Here's stuff I'm fucking horrible at. And you know what? Let's focus on that. Yeah, well, hire those guys, but also what can I improve myself? What can I say? You know what? If I suck at this, and this, there's certain things I know if I improve a little bit myself on them, and be honest and looking for some progress and change, it'll help as well. In business, I totally agree with you. Like, numbers suck, so I have a bookkeeper, right?
Yeah.
You know, all those things that you don't do well or take a lot of your energy because it's not a passion or it's not something that you love doing, it's 10 times harder to do, right? So we learned that here, obviously. One of the cool things about Rhapsody is that we do the character assessment of how you're wired, basically, right? And based on that, you find out that, hey, you know, I'm a high D, high I, so I'm driven and I'm very social. Right, I do really well in it. What I suck at is sometimes taking a minute to think about how this decision is going to affect everybody around me. You know, the S or the C, where, hey, listen, let's just make sure consistently we make sure these things happen, you know, day to day. So what I've learned to do is two things in business: hire the areas where I'm weaker in with people who are stronger in those areas. Delegate that stuff. I can do a C. I can sit there, and if I have to go through an audit, I'll do it. But it's 100 times harder than for me to sit there to grab exactly, right? Because it's outside my natural tendencies. Plus, it always costs a lot of money at the end of an audit, no matter what. But at the end of the day, but turn around and say, hey, Kurt, let's drive downtown and interview Steve Cody. I'm like, fuck, let's go. Right? Whereas other people wired differently, like, oh my God, I can't do that. You know,
I want to keep reading the numbers.
Well, you know what? Because that's where they're strongest and that's where their energy flow is and stuff. So it's a big thing. What's a great day like for Steve Cody?
I think a great day is get up, have my coffee, check my emails, social media. Then I head out for a walk 10 or 15 kilometers. And I justify that's 2 or 3 hours, but it's kind of like my office. I take my phone and I'm working the whole time I'm walking, but it gives you mentally, it's unbelievable. So anyways, that's, and then get back and, typically I'll try to set up my appointments for 11, no earlier than 11:30.
Okay.
I shoot for, because then I can get my walk in and everything in the morning and have a couple of meetings and,
So those rituals that we talk about, and that's something we like to talk a lot about, is so I have a journal in front of me. I've got my rituals. And I always say the days where I get my rituals done are better days.
I agree.
It lines things up, gets your headspace ready and stuff. The days where I struggle, if I look back, it's a day I haven't done my morning ritual, or a couple days, right? And in business, and we have a lot on the go, and this isn't just about business, right? I mean, in our 40s, we still have families, we still have jobs, careers, bosses, wives, partners, or whatever. A lot of demands on our time and on our attention, right? So the better we can perform those responsibilities, the better it is for everything. We bring all this onto ourselves, right? So I think we have a certain responsibility to how can I do a better job at that, and how can I maintain and not let people and situations around me down overall. But I think the big thing where a lot of people struggle is that they don't realize that putting yourself first, getting healthier, getting fitter, getting stronger mindset is the key to allowing you to perform at a higher level in those other areas that you want to be in or are required to be in.
And that's something, as I've gotten older, that I've definitely realized is being healthy is extremely important. So for me, it's walking, hockey. So I've got hockey later today, and
and I think that's the thing I try to get people to understand too, is that but you need to schedule those things. Those are a priority in your day.
Fit them into your life. Like priority. Like I don't book a morning breakfast because I'm going for a walk.
Right. And if you do, it's a rare occasion. And there's a big reason why you're doing it. It's not like you're not like, all right, I'll meet you there and stuff like that. There's a big purpose why it has to happen. So as far as that ritual that you're doing and the walking, and again, we talk about walking all the time in between big workouts. How long have you been doing that? Is that something you've always done? Is that something that you've just done the last few years? Like what's that been like for you?
I think it started, I've always walked, but I think after our son passed away 2013, that's kind of when, and that was really to get back to kind of a good mental state.
Okay.
And I think that was a huge part of it. So that's where I probably started walking maybe about 10 kilometers a day and just had to do it.
Get in your head and clear things up.
Yeah, just had to do it. And I stopped when we started the Better Software company because that got, just the time. I mean, it was just a lot of time. And but going back, I wish I would have stuck with walking So now I'm back at walking every day.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. But even during that startup period, we're doing a new startup right now. So, and I've committed to myself that I'll continue the walking no matter what the demands are, because again, I can justify it. It's my office. I'm walking.
Right.
I'm on my phone.
Right.
I'm talking. I'm emailing.
And it's your gig, right? It's your business.
Yeah.
So you turn around, and if you want to do that and work till midnight every night, you build your business around that. Because at the end of the day, I think that's the other thing that's important we understand is that we are masters of our own destiny and our control.
Yes.
If we're having a good day or a bad day, it's really up to us.
We don't need to be stuck in an office. I mean, that's part of success.
Some people love it, right? That kind of stuff, right? Some people are happy working 40, 37 and a half hours a week and that kind of stuff. And if that really floats your boat and you're happy, you should fucking do that, right?
Big time.
But what we touch upon is there's a lot of guys that are in their 40s that haven't done their thing, right? And because they just haven't gotten around to it. They've been afraid to do it.
Yeah.
They're secure in that $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 a year job.
Yeah, I feel bad for them.
And at the end of the day, it's tough, right? Especially if they truly are looking outward going, I wish I could do that, right? I think they owe it to themselves to do it.
Absolutely. Right? Life's too short. You have to do it.
At the end of the day, right? Yeah. So you touched on something about the passing of your son, and I know you talked about it before. We won't get deep into it as you want to, but one of the other things that I try to help listeners and people that are following us do is that understand that there are going to be some really dark days. No matter what, you don't spend time on this planet without crazy things happening. I mean, that's a huge one. I have a family. I have kids. It's just incredible to have to deal with that. My concern, my whole thing is how do we get past that? How do we deal with it? How do we move on? How do we, get your mind around it? To me, that's super, super important because that can also stall someone. And it's a huge tragedy for sure, that kind of thing. So, and I believe there's a scale in tragedy. I mean, some people now, get cut off on the road and, they need to go and take a week off. I think we've gotten really weak, right? And that's the whole point of this as well, right? We've gotten really fucking weak.
Not enough people struggling. Right? The young kids, too much handed to them.
The millennials, right? I got a 14 and a 16-year-old and stuff, and I'm like,
how do they face?
And I'm doing it to them. I'm giving them everything and stuff like that. I grew up on the farm. You want something, you fucking hitchhike after all your shit was done and stuff like that, right? I think that's a little too much on the left side, but the right side where it is today, like, they haven't even finished asking for money and you're giving them that or the ride or whatever. Yeah. But, for you, horrible day, horrible situation to deal with and stuff. But you talked a bit about, the mindset and the clearing. What are some of the things that you do, whether you want to get into that aspect or not, or just on a day that's just not, a Steve Cody 100 home run day? How do you get out? How do you deal with that? How do you fix that?
Well, I mean, I think you want to try to look for the positive in anything. So, if we look at the positive of my son's death, for us, that's a floor, right? It doesn't get any lower than that, right? So, I think if I think about how many really bad days I have now, I don't think I really have any because I just think, how much worse it could really be. Yep. And that really puts things into perspective. So looking on the positive side, that's kind of, it's created my basement or my floor.
Right. An incredible point of reference, right?
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what I do,
right?
What business I start, how tough it is or whatever happens, it's not going to get any worse. So, so that's comforting. It's in an odd way.
I think in a real way.
Yeah.
Right. In a real way. I mean, it's what we survive, what we come through. To me, that really just, creates, our character, tests our character, right? That kind of thing. Everyone talks about how tough they are until they're tested. Right.
Well, I mean, so we had that, and then you look at the financial impact of that happening to a family. For us personally, I mean, we're so close to bankruptcy, still paying things off, but just going through that struggle. We had 3 companies on the go. Everything was going great. And, within a year, we had to have a fire sale, sell them all off. We owed over $1 million. Many, many times it was suggested to go bankrupt or a creditor plan or anything, but we've taken the position that no, that's our responsibility and we're paying for it, and we pay for it every month. So it's still not easy.
You know, when you talked about that at the breakfast, that's the one thing that resonated, because at one point I had multiple stores going, a lot of great stuff was going, but unfortunately, you know, things like my consistency and the devils in the details was horrible. So it basically, we lost everything, had to start from scratch again and rebuild. And the same thing was proposed to me, is that, you know, pull the B, right? Pull the bankruptcy and stuff. And I'm like, I won't.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, these people, you know, advance me product or funds or whatever. And I said, you know, but I contacted guys, it could be a year, could be 5 years. Yeah. Right. If you stick with me, I'm gonna pay it off. Right. You know, some of these suppliers to this day deal with me because of that. Right. That kind of stuff. In business, we're gonna run into shortfalls in cash flow, and we're gonna be like, dude, I'm behind, and here's what's going on.
If you don't, you're lying.
Well, you know what I mean? And you know what? And being in business, you know, we skirt the failure quite often. Yeah. I mean, no one sees that, right? I asked a question. I was talking to a guy at the gym the other day, and we're looking at doing something, and he's a really great guy and stuff. And we're talking about, he said, well, you said you'll do this by this date. And I said, yeah, I'll have to wait a little longer. And then he was like a little frustrated. And I go, well, you know, what's going on? He goes, well, he said this. I said, listen, I'm going to ask you a question right now. I said, you know, what kind of money do you think I make? He goes, like, personally? I go, yeah, personally. He goes, yeah, 100, 150 a year. I started laughing. I go, everything I make goes back into business. And when we have great months, right, it goes back into business. And when we have bad months, it comes out of my wife's bank account. Right?
Exactly.
And I said, at the end of the day, right, the goal is going to get there, and we're going to have those things happening. But at the end of the day, the reality of it is that it's a fight every day. Right? Now, I love it. And, you know, are there days where it's like, holy fuck, how am I going to get through this day? Of course there is. Right. But the one thing I'll never have is a regret going, I wish I would have tried that.
Exactly.
I wish I would have done that. Right.
Yes,
I wish there's days where I wish that would have worked out better. You know, that kind of stuff. And, you know, I wish I'd have the $1 million cottage on the lake, you know, for my family and stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, they don't give a fuck. They just want to be happy and have a dad and a husband around and stuff like that. You know, so if the other things happen, it's cool. It's the pressures we put on ourselves. Right. That kind of thing. But, you know, we're all going to be faced with those tough days. So, you know, it's interesting to be able to, you know, the whole purpose is to find out, you know, how do you handle a great day? How do you handle a less than great day? How do you handle a horrible event and stuff? Because we're all going to have them, have had them, or going to have them. Right. And I think that's the biggest thing is what I'm trying to get guys to understand is you don't fucking lay down.
No. Well, for me personally, the worst thing you could do is sit on a couch.
Well, because
or, you know, go for a walk. Like, and I'm not saying that because you run a gym. I truly believe that. Sure. I mean, it really, it's really hard to do some days, is to just get off the couch and say, okay, you know, tie up your shoes and just go. But once you get walking, you're 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, it starts to feel really good. Absolutely, right? So you kind of you break that wall, and it feels really good. So,
what are some of the other habits that you do? Do you read? Do you watch certain things? Do you listen to certain things? Like, what are some of the things that you do to keep your motivation high? Or do you need to? Or what are some of the positive rituals that you do?
I've done a lot of reading, a lot of autobiographies. So business people, entrepreneurs. So that I find that really helpful. Listen to some podcasts.
Like the Silverback Podcast.
That's Blueprint. Right. You know, I get a lot off LinkedIn. You know, a lot of good articles that I read there, so that I find very relevant. So, and I educate myself that way.
So do you set apart a certain amount of time per day to do that kind of thing?
Morning.
So
I'm up at 6, and you know, I'm usually about 2 hours, emails, kind of reading, learning, that kind of thing.
Awesome. And again, we often, as I said earlier, we talk about this. So a book I read about 2 years ago, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Just what was nice about it is it was just a quick and easy plan to, you know, set up that situation. So, I mean, I still use it to this day. I have a thing called Savers, and it's silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, read, and scribe.
And you do it every day?
And I try to do it every day.
Nice.
Now, I mean, you know, there's gaps in the book and pages and stuff like that. I have the journal with me, you know. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, the days I don't do it, I feel it, right? Or 2 or 3 days, I'm like, what the fuck, you know? And then I look back, I'm like,
feel off.
You know what? And I try to get it done as early as possible as well. You know, I used to teach a class at 5:30, so I'd get up at 4:30 and do it, right? So, and I'm not, anyone who knows me, I'm not normally a morning person. I'll work till 2 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
But nothing has ever improved my productivity as early morning.
I'm with you 100%.
It's
maybe
quiet.
I don't know if it's when we're getting older or
Maybe.
But yeah, the earlier like I get up at 6 now. I've got a buddy who gets up at 4.
Yeah.
And I want to shoot for 5. So I think if I can get up at 5
Right.
and kind of just you get more in. Yeah.
So what time do you shut down at night though? Like, is there like, hey, you try to be in bed by 10, 11?
10, 11.
Okay.
10, 11.
All right.
Yeah.
And is there
sleep by 11.
11? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And what about that? Do you have an end of day ritual that you do as well? Like, what's that like? Does it depend on the day, or is it kind of go by the flow a little bit?
I think it would more depend on the season. So we've got a nice backyard. So
Right.
we'll try to wind down, glass of wine, backyard
Okay.
in the summertime. And winter time's just a little bit different.
Okay.
Inside, yeah. Sundays we have family over, family dinners.
Right.
So we've got some good family rituals as well. So
Do you find family is more important for you now that you're older? Is that more of a commitment? Is that something you've
absolutely.
always done? Is it something?
You know what? It's interesting. So I resigned from the Better Software company. I started the transition about 5 weeks ago.
Okay.
Gave me more time for walking.
Okay.
And last week took my youngest daughter to Algonquin Park. We went hunting for moose with a camera. So 2 days with my daughter.
Wow.
And
How old's your daughter?
And her kid, 18.
Okay.
We're off to British Columbia tomorrow. She's off to university.
I love it.
And but I you know what? I went with her and I felt really relaxed. So it was the first time. I don't know why, but maybe we're just appreciating it more now that we're getting older. I wasn't
Seeing the value
thinking,
in it.
Yeah, like it wasn't like I got to get back to doing so. It was just and it felt really good. And I don't have any hobbies. I don't golf.
Okay.
I don't. There's really nothing I do other than work and other than We the Parents that we just started. But that's the only other thing other than work that I've ever done. So, anyways, felt really good, and I think it's got to do with our age. We're just starting to appreciate it more. Grandkids.
Well, I think seeing the value in it.
We're not old, right? We're kind of not talking about it. We're young,
but we're older too. We're middle age. I mean, one of the things for me, I do feel a sense of time is running out sometimes.
Yeah,
right.
Big time. Yeah,
and I think that's a great motivator.
Yeah,
at the same time, we just came back from a 2-week cruise to the Mediterranean.
Nice.
My wife, my 2 kids, her 2
pictures.
sisters,
Yeah.
their husbands. So 12 of us on this cruise.
Wow.
It was phenomenal. It was probably the biggest life-changing thing I've done outside of business.
Wow.
That kind of thing, to the point where I love Barcelona. I fell in love with it. I want to go back. I've said to a few people, and I'm telling everyone now, I want to fucking open a gym in Barcelona that I go working in the winter. Like that's
give you a reason to go.
Well, absolutely, right? That kind of thing.
Do it.
It was just incredible overall, right? So was the visa bill, and that's what we're paying off right now.
Yeah.
But again, right? It's all about motivation, right? That kind of thing. But it was great to spend that time as a family. And I looked at my 14 and 16-year-old. They were the 2 youngest of the kids. There was 3 boys and 3 girls. They're in university and stuff. So we pulled our kids out of high school, which was tough on them because they had to hustle and catch up. But you know what? They got it done. So again, another challenge, right? That kind of thing. But, at 14, 16, a couple more years, I'm not going to see a lot of them anymore.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And we'll always kind of have that thing. And,
Huge.
if someone would have shown me Europe at 16, who knows where I'd be right now? Do you know that kind of stuff? So to me, that was super, super important to do. But it is that perspective, and it's looking at there's bigger things. And now even when I look at business, I love business and I love what I do, and I want to keep building our brand as you do. This is our game. This is what we do.
Yeah.
But it even changes the purpose of that.
So I started Ruckify exactly for that reason. So it's to incorporate. I said, you know what? I want to have a business where I'm going to incorporate the lifestyle that I want into the business. So that really, and that was a huge part of leaving the Better Software company, which is a great company.
Right.
But I found myself stuck in an office, and I just didn't like it.
Not your natural flow.
No, I didn't like it.
Was it like 80 hours a week? Was it that kind of stuff happening, or is it?
Yeah, 60, 80 hours. I mean, it was pretty intense. We were working hard.
Okay.
Loved dealing with the customers because we worked with small business owners, but our customers were around the world. So you weren't seeing the customers. So now at least with Ruckify, I mean, we can incorporate it right into our life. I'm committed to not having an office. Any of our employees can work from home. It'll completely be virtual.
Now, I know you can't talk too much about Ruckify because you're keeping it under wraps because you want to make a big excitement thing about it. So you tell us what you want. But what I'm picking up on, though, is what I'm hearing and I like is that you're kind of reverse engineering.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm saying, what do I want out of life?
Yes.
And building a business. So if I think back to Cody Mobile, and you heard the story before, is my wife kept getting pissed off at me because the car was always dirty.
Okay.
Get the car clean, bring it to the detailers. And I'm thinking, well, that's a pain in the ass because I got to bring it to the detailers. Somebody's got to pick me up, drive me back. So we're having a barbecue out back one day and she's mad at me again. I said, look, I'm going to start a mobile auto detailing business.
Where you would go to the clients.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll buy a Sprinter van. We'll equip it with everything it needs. And so I put an ad in Kijiji. I knew nothing about auto detailing, saying looking for an experienced auto detailer. And first guy that came to my place, a guy named Steve O'Hara.
Right.
Amazing guy.
Okay.
And he had been detailing for 10 years, completely passionate about it. So I said, go home. I hadn't hired him yet. I just said, go home and tell me what we need to buy to become the best auto detailing company in the world.
Oh, I love it.
And that's what we did. And it was awesome.
Right.
So, and the franchisees that bought it loved it.
Okay.
Because they were, I mean, there's guys that love auto detailing. Like they will clean cars all day and then they will go home and clean their own cars.
They're technicians,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they love it.
And I think the thing about a business, we talked about some of my favorite books that we read was the EMyth.
EMyth is
by Gerber, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, are you
best.
a business owner? Are you a technician? Are you, that kind of stuff? And again, neither one is more important or better than the other one, but knowing which one you are, and knowing ourselves, really it comes down to that, knowing yourself, right? When you know that, then you play to your strengths, right? We talked about sourcing out our weaknesses and then, overseeing everything as a business owner and entrepreneur and stuff. But yeah, it's finding that technician that loves doing that. They don't want to own a fucking business, right? They just want to know how many calls I got today, right? And hey, I need some of this cleaner.
They don't want to do sales.
Yeah, which is great because you want either yourself to do that. The last thing you want to have happen is two business owners try to work the same business together and stuff like that when they're not supposed to be partners, right? When one's really meant to be a technician, or you think you're a business owner, but you're truly a technician. There's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work to scale anyway, that kind of thing.
EMyth book was the
game
biggest
changer?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, we listened on audio with the kids driving to Florida.
Cool.
And they listened to it all the way there and all the way back. So they, because we kept listening to it.
So,
but it was big.
Now with the kids, any one of them an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So oldest daughter, she does photography.
Okay.
My two boys work at the Better Software Company.
Okay.
And they've done quite well. So that's kind of created a career for them.
Nice.
And our youngest daughter, we're just bringing her to Vancouver tomorrow. She's going to Simon Fraser. She's going to be a lawyer.
Oh,
so
good.
Yeah.
It's always good to have an in-house lawyer, right? My son,
hurry up.
My son keeps talking about wanting to become a lawyer or a paralegal and stuff like that. And I'm like, yes, please. Only if it's your passion, but yes, please, right? That kind of thing. I said, make money with the law instead of going to jail because of the law and stuff like that. But it's pretty cool. So how do you, Steve Cody, now spend your day at 49 years old? We talked a bit about it and stuff, but now you're launching another new company. You talked about something, We the Parents. Is that?
Yeah.
What you want to talk a bit about that?
Sure.
Let's give you a couple of minutes just to talk a bit of what you're up to, and we'll wrap it up and talk about how we can contact each other and go from there and stuff.
Perfect. So We the Parents, basically back in February, gentleman out in Canada found a boy dead in his garage, had died from an overdose, was brought back to life, but two girls died there, two young girls, 14-year-olds, died right after that from...
Is that the fentanyl thing?
Yeah, fentanyl problem.
All right.
So I saw he put an open letter on Facebook, got a lot of traction. His name's Sean OLeary. I reached out to him and said, look, if you ever need any help, I told him my story, said I'm here to help. He put a kind of a community event on in Canada. Okay. I went to it, and my wife and I had talked about it, and we agreed that we weren't going to say anything at the event. Just keep quiet and listen. And it was the first time really I heard the word fentanyl at that event, and then heard all the public officials kind of all the same crap that they had told me. And so nothing had really changed in the system since our son had passed. And
just a different drug.
Different, much worse drug. Yeah. That drug, the kids don't even know they're taking it because it's counterfeit pills. Anyways, our guy stood up quite emotional and, told people our story and connected with Sean. And we've created a formal organization. We've been on national TV. We've been local. We've been on BBC. We're on Sirius Radio, I think today. Wow. We were in Toronto yesterday on the radio. Anyway,
so what is it you guys are doing? What is your
So we have 3
mission?
pillars. There's 7 people on the board.
Okay.
Big part of it is education.
Okay.
If you look at fentanyl, the relapse rate is almost 100%. So it's kind of
incredibly
hard.
addictive right off the bat.
1 to 3 times, yeah, you gotta. It's a problem.
Okay.
So we want to focus on early education. It's hitting the schools in grade 5 and 6 now.
Right.
The pills cost $3 to $5, and they're pink little hearts. They have no idea they're taking fentanyl.
They know they're taking something.
Yeah.
But they don't.
It could be to
realize
lose
just how
weight.
bad it is.
Could be a pill to lose weight. They don't know, right?
Yeah.
Could be a party drug.
Yeah.
But it's and fentanyl of it, people are making this at their house. So if you think of a pill, if it's got more than 2 grains of sand, so the fentanyl comes almost like the same consistency as sand.
Right.
More than 2 grains, you're dead.
Right.
So you're counting on somebody
small.
in a blender, making these things. They're not doing it on purpose, obviously, but so that's and I mean, you can make with a kilo of fentanyl, you can make 50 million pills. Jesus. So you can imagine, right? So, anyways.
It's actually scarier than meth because meth. One of the
way
problems with
scarier
meth
than
is that
meth.
you can make it with the shit under your sink.
This
stuff is
it's game changing.
Jesus.
It's wild, and the kids have no idea they're taking it, so they're addicted, and they don't even know it.
Right.
So education is huge for us. We're running smart recovery programs. We're starting that in September. So they're programs, but they've got a social aspect because a lot of the kids go through these programs. They have to lose their old friends, but any new friends, the parents don't want them hanging out with them.
That's right.
So you've got to create.
They're alone, right?
So now they're forced. Yeah. They all go back to drugs.
And one of the reasons why they get into this stuff is that they don't want to be alone. They want to be part of something, and So so
creating kind of a social aspect, and then really advocacy. Working with the government, finding gaps in the system. We've met with the Dr. Phil Pod, the Federal Minister of Health, Provincial Minister of. So we're Ottawa Public Health. So we're working with all these organizations. We're pointing out gaps, and so anyways, and then we're creating kind of a template, almost like a franchise model.
All right,
we don't charge, but where we can give this to other communities, so they're not starting from ground zero.
Right. Well, here comes that business experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Sean and I are 2 entrepreneurs, so I think that's why we've
connected.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of traction. So, anyways, that's been quite interesting, and like I said before, it was really about. With Ruckify, leaving the Better Software company, Better Software was there almost 3 years. Left it with 2 co-CEOs. They have a board. They're in good hands. We raised a little over $8 million in 2 years. So anyways, it was my first time doing a technology business.
Yeah.
And really intimidated at first.
From window cleaning to technology.
To running a tech business. I can hardly operate my iPhone. So my kids thought it was really funny. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's no different than any other business.
Business is business.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about people. It's all about giving, making sure they're willing to pay for whatever you're giving them, right?
Sure.
So when you're solving a real problem. So great experience, and now Ruckify really taking my rental experience. We've built and sold 6 different rental companies.
Okay.
So taking my rental experience and my technology experience and putting that together to do something that fits a lifestyle that my wife and I want moving forward. And even what I think fits new millennials. Like you talk about energy as you're getting older.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to hire out the energy. So I'm looking for we already found some young guys that have energy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, and they just bring, they got the sparkle, they got the hustle.
Yeah.
Not to say I've lost it, but I think I need a little more of that around.
Yeah, I think as we get older, one thing is we have good energy, we fight for good energy, but we can't do all the lifting for everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
we could when we were younger,
Yeah.
but now we need to line other people up that we can lead with energy, but harness their energy, right? So interesting.
And I mean, right from day one now, we're looking for a CEO. So I don't like being a CEO.
Right.
I'm an entrepreneur.
So you're more looking now, entrepreneur, investor, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So we'll look
background now where you want to see things happening.
Yeah. Yeah, or create. I mean, just to create an opportunity, and I mean, this is an opportunity for other people to make money within the rental industry.
Right. So when you say rental, is there specific things you're renting, or
basically anything? So it's an open marketplace to rent. So if you had a jet ski sitting at home,
right,
why not put it on a marketplace for rent?
Okay.
If I'm going up to a lake, why not be able to do a geo search at that lake to see if somebody else is renting their jet ski?
Okay.
Or your apartment.
So kind of taking the B&B idea.
Airbnb, but it's everything
with
rentals.
rental and stuff like that.
Everything,
right?
And everything's insured. So, if you have a second car, if you wanted to rent it out, or maybe look at weightlifting, for example. I don't know a lot about it, but maybe there's events going on where they actually need to rent things for the competition. So
there's a cool thing. Well, we rent treadmills. That's one thing that we've started doing, and it's a cool little business and stuff like that.
Rentals is an
But I always
business.
sit there and I go, if I scale that up, what
Yeah.
would that look like, right? That kind of thing. But then that's where we run into that focus and stuff like that. But it's quite interesting. I'll
But this
definitely look
is
into
just
it.
a marketplace. I mean, you post it. You're either looking or you're posting.
Okay.
And we've got. I mean, there's just camera equipment. We've got student books. Somebody's going to do wedding dresses.
Right.
It's endless, right?
Awesome.
And if you look at the millennials, they don't want to own anything. They want to have experiences.
Yeah.
And if you look at guys our age, we want to move to a condo. We don't want.
Or we just want to travel or whatever.
Yeah,
or I need this for 3 months. I don't need it for 3 years, right? That kind
I
of
just
thing.
want to, whatever it is. I want a mountain bike. Well, I don't want to buy one anymore because where the hell am I going to put it? So maybe I'll rent one. Or a jet ski.
A jet ski sounds great. Well, let's rent one for a weekend.
Yeah.
And see if I want to buy one at the end of it and stuff like that.
Or
right?
skidoo. Or you'll
something.
find, or you'll find it's actually probably cheaper just to rent every time you want one. Yeah. As long as it's accessible, and we think that's what Ruckify is going to do is make it accessible.
That geo thing. So if you're in Canada, here's some stuff I can rent in Canada. There's some in Orleans, but I can find it in Canada, so it's 10 minutes to go get rather than 45 minutes.
It'll come up right on the app, the ones that are closest to. It was a buddy of mine, a tree fell. So Bruce Linton, he owns Tweed Canopy, the marijuana company.
Okay.
And tree fell over in the front of the house. He came over with his chainsaw. It was too small, so it can only get part of it. So we needed a bigger chainsaw. And they're like, probably one of our neighbors has a chainsaw, but we don't know that.
Which one? That's right.
So
or is willing to lend it, right?
Yeah. So this way, maybe we could find it on Ruckify.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
that's
So what I really like, and I know we're running out of time here and stuff, but the other thing that's happening that I really like is that at 49 years old, you're getting a lot of shit done. Right, and that's the other thing that I hear a lot of guys piss and moan about. Oh, I'm too old. And I'm like, it's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Especially this day and age.
Yeah.
We can get so much done so much faster, so much easier and stuff. It's just really about just taking that that step and just saying, you know what, enough, fucking do it.
I just worked with Terry Matthews.
Yep.
So you know the name.
Yep.
Yeah. So working with Terry, I think he's 74 now.
Yeah.
And
look at Firestone. How old's Bruce now?
Yeah. Probably about the same age.
And he's always doing shit.
They're
and stuff
always
like
doing
that.
something.
Well, people say that, Kurt, when you retire, what's it going to be like? I don't know, 3 days a week. That kind of thing. The wife's not going to want me at home every day. Let's be honest, right? I'm not going to want to be there. That kind of thing. If you love what you're doing, 80% of the time, the other 20% that's the cost of doing what you love doing. It's the cost of doing anything. Why would you stop?
Or start a business that fits your passion, right?
How many guys do you know in your circle, my circle, that have retired and a year or two later are dead?
Yeah.
Right? Because the reason for getting up is gone.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
The reason, the fucking
vitality.
It's reason. And if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
So our whole thing is, start moving, get fitter, get stronger physically and mentally, but take on something. And, the other thing, Luke and I were talking to this about the other day, is that, people worry about things being perfect before they launch it. It was John Lee Dumas, a podcast guy we follow. He's really cool. And he says, listen, if you're not embarrassed by the first edition of you've launched of anything, you've waited too long.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Throw it out there, see if someone reacts to it, see if there's a need, a demand.
I've got a good story. A good story for you. So Cody Mobile, we started the auto detailing business. So we've got Steve and Brad. I got my son involved at the time. So they're out doing a detailing job. This is when we had started the business before we started franchising. And they're on their way back. And I said, we got a carpet cleaning job. They said, what the hell are you talking about, a carpet cleaning job? I said, we don't even do carpet cleaning.
We do now.
Yeah, we do. I said, I put it up on our website and we got a job.
That's awesome.
And they said, and they got back to the office. My son, he's pissed off. Steve's a little more diplomatic about it. And they said, well, what the hell are we going to do? I said, well, go rent a carpet cleaning machine. And they said, well, what do we do with that? I said, well, look on YouTube on the way and you'll know how to do it. So anyways,
I love it. Well, you know what?
So we're in the carpet cleaning business.
20, 30 years ago when I started a whole bunch of shit, there was no YouTube. There was nothing. You're like, you look at this and I go, I think I can fucking do that.
Well, you know what's scary? Start a swing stage business when you don't know what you're doing. If you think of Bronson Place, it was the first building we hung off of.
Oh, I remember you telling the story.
Well, that was window cleaning. So that was a different. That was carling, and I had no idea how to go down it. Anyways, so that's scary.
my favorite thing is like, fuck, it's not rocket science, but every once in a while it is rocket science, right? And you walk away going, oh my God, okay, we're not doing that again. Like, that cost me a lot of money. Kind of thing, right? That kind of thing. Steve, it's been fantastic. How are a couple of ways that our listeners can get a hold of you? Like, how do we get a hold of Steve Cody?
Email is, LinkedIn's the best, actually.
So Steve Cody at LinkedIn.
Yep,
okay, awesome.
Yep, LinkedIn's the best way.
And what's one website you want to talk about?
Website in terms of
Ruckify, or do you want?
Ruckify. Okay. We'll be announcing what we're doing. It'll be late September, early October.
Okay.
We'll be starting our pilots then, and so we're doing Ottawa first, then we're doing Vancouver, and then we're looking to do Florida. So we're going to kind of knock.
Somebody wants to go work in Florida.
Well, it's fitting into the lifestyle.
Right. I like that.
And then the next one's going to be an island. So I'm going to pick one of the Virgin Islands. Wow. Again, trying to fit it into the lifestyle.
There's not a lot of virgins in the Virgin Islands. I tell guys that there's not as many virgins out there as you think there is.
Man, I'm married 25 years. I'm good. That'll get me in trouble.
I'm the same way. What was I going to say? Yeah, listen, we'll put some of that information in the show notes. And once again, first time I heard you talk about, you and what you've been doing and what you've been through, inspirational. Today, even more inspired. So I want to thank you very much for being here.
I love what you do.
Hopefully we can do some follow-up stuff as well. And it's been fantastic. And I want to thank you, Steve. Excellent.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Excellent. Guys, that's it for today. Check us out on iTunes. We're up on iTunes, which is fantastic. That was a bit of a struggle. If you like anything we're doing, please subscribe. And if you like it even more than that, please give us a 5-star review. It helps us just get more awareness and keep doing this. We love doing this. If you want to get a hold of me, kurthaas@gmail.com, and I'll talk to you guys later.